Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining us right now on the phone from Washington, D.C. is Daniel Scarpinato. He's the National Press Secretary for the National Republican Congressional Committee, which helps Republicans win and keep their congressional seats. Daniel, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, it's my pleasure. So the GOP is trying again to use Obamacare to impact the midterm elections, and I'm sure hoping to have similar results to what we witnessed in 2010. So let's talk about this new effort. I have a picture up here on the screen right now of one of these rolling billboard trucks, this one targeting Georgia Democrat John Barrow. So with so much talk and focus being paid to web ads and digital improvements that the GOP is making, tell us why the NRCC is going with these rolling billboards.
Yeah, well, it's just another way of communicating with folks. One of these billboards is up in my hometown of Tucson against Congressman Ron Barber. My phone has been blowing up all day with texts from people back home who are seeing this billboard. So it's having a huge impact in the community of just people seeing this thing all over the place and getting the message that, you know what, they don't want the IRS running their health care. And that's basically the plan that the Democrats have in place right now. And I think it's going to be a big issue in this election.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it, what impact you think the IRS connection, the IRS scandal and the connection to Obamacare is going to have. But I was curious more about the concept, the original concept of where this idea came from. Who hatched this idea and who said, let's go ahead and roll it out?
Well, it's something we've done before and found a lot of success last cycle in districts where we launched these billboards because it's very visual. The billboard spends the whole day driving through the community. Sometimes the candidates and the members of Congress themselves see the billboard. Their friends and neighbors see it. And so it really creates a ripple effect in the community and really gets the community talking about the issue. We had so much success with it before, we thought this would be a great issue for which to utilize it again.
And so we talked about the 12th district in Georgia, that's John Barrow's. You mentioned, I think, the 2nd district, that's Ron Barber's, also in the 1st district of Arizona, and Minnesota's 7th district. Why specifically did the NRCC choose these districts to focus on right now?
Yeah, these districts are really interesting because they're districts that are Republican in nature. They voted for George W. Bush, they voted for John McCain, and they voted for Mitt Romney. But Democrats hold them on the congressional level, and a lot of these guys have kind of slipped through their elections by running as moderates, so-called moderates, but they've done nothing but support Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama in Congress, voting against repealing Obamacare, voting for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. So these are people who just fundamentally don't fit their districts, and we picked them so that we can get that message out to the folks back home.
And in other words, these are districts that the NRCC really hopes and needs to win in 2014.
Yeah, these are some of our top targets in the country, and they really illustrate why the Democrats have a difficult road back to the majority, because they need to hold on to what are very tough districts for them and also win others. But it's no exaggeration to say that these districts will determine whether or not Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House again, and that's why they're so important.
Yeah, and the numbers aren't exactly in the Democrats' favor this election cycle, and history shows us these midterm elections don't usually go the way that the sitting president wants them to go. Let's talk a little bit more about the IRS scandal a little bit and the role that this is playing. This is obviously highlighted in these rolling billboards, but how much more effective do you think that the NRCC and the GOP can be this coming election cycle by using the Affordable Care Act and the role that the IRS plays as a real wedge issue in this election cycle?
Well, I think it's a big issue, and part of that is because Obamacare is now here. It's being implemented. The consequences, all you have to do is pick up a newspaper and you're bound to see a story. I see them every day about small businesses that are being impacted by the implementation of Obamacare. So now it's really hitting home. Before it was, people knew they didn't like it, they didn't like how it sounded. Now we're actually living under Obamacare in a way we never have before. The IRS scandal really just exacerbates that because, people, I think, are looking around, and maybe you're a small business and you've been critical of the administration, you've been critical of Obamacare. how do you know the IRS is going to execute this fairly? They haven't proven themselves to be fair with the tax code. So I think it brings to light a lot of issues. Part of it's the IRS. Part of it is just the fact that Obamacare is now here, and people are, figuring out a lot of things about it that they didn't even know.
Now, are there any plans at this time to roll out these billboards in other districts that you guys are targeting, or is this it for right now?
Well, this is the focus right now, but I'll tell you, we're doing a lot of stuff, and we are doing a lot of digital stuff as well. We've done a lot of digital efforts on both on Obamacare, also on spending and balancing the budget, targeting Democrats. We'll probably do more of that. I hope we do more of these billboards because, like I say, they really have a far reach in the community. Sometimes, we do a lot of stuff with digital, and we're going to continue to do that. But sometimes it's actually just kind of the old-fashioned campaigning that really has an impact back in these districts, particularly in some of the rural areas where people see something and they talk about it with their friends and neighbors. So I think we'll see more of this as well as other efforts.
Yeah, it's certainly an updated way of doing a very old school kind of grassroots tactic, and I'm sure it resonates with folks. And sometimes it's hard to get people's attention on computer screens these days. So this is an interesting effort. We'll see how it works out. And another sign that the 2014 election cycle is pretty much already here. Daniel Scarpinato from the NRCC, thanks for being with us. A pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and thanks for watching Newsmax TV.